All right, howdy, folks. I did not do the time thing because I didn't care this morning because we were already running a little bit late. Already got a full panel, pretty much. How you guys doing so far? And what do you want to complain about other than the main topics?
I am going to complain to complain. I'm going to complain about complaining because you gave me a chance to complain about it.
Okay. Well, as long as it's political, because that's the speciality of this particular stream, to get it out of our systems.
I hate that you are such a Trump fan.
Oh, yeah.
I hate Kid Rock. I'm sorry, I'm just quoting Gavin Newsom.
I just want to. I
have to say, I know we're here to rant, but I actually have been enjoying hearing about Gavin Newsom's Trump troll posts on Twitter. I mean, I know it's stupid and childish, but my favorite is there's like Fox News complaining about it. It's exactly the same way Trump posts. So it's like, but you don't complain when he does.
My favorite quote for that was one I saw on Twitter where it says, I don't know what's going on in California. This guy is off his rocker, insane. I don't know why he's talking like that or typing like that, but obviously there's a problem in California. And literally the first response was, he's parroting Trump. And the guy was like, no, Trump never talks like that. And I'm just like, yeah.
That's when you see that the first post on there should be somebody retweeting a tweet of Trump's saying, here you go. There's your example.
He did that. The press secretary office did that.
I'm not saying, okay. I'm saying if anybody should have done that. It's like,
the other thing I really would have liked to have seen one of the alt news sites do is, when Trump gave his speech about, criminals and attacking police and stuff like that, somebody should have done footage from like January 6th.
Oh, I've seen people do that. But remember,
with his
Dandelion, there are people who honestly think that January 6th was like some psyop black, red flag moment, that it was entirely staged. None of the people there were actually Trump supporters. It was all fake.
I'm going to close the window because of the chicken debate outside my window.
So.
Take turns. Sorry, they all want to lay an egg at once, and there's only room for like 2 chickens in the old planter. So.
I think the main reason people are upset about Gavin is because they're saying, "Oh, here's the thing: is that thing Texas is doing?" Like, no, he's not.
Oh, Texas is first of all, we were talking primarily about his tweets.
Yeah, that's
not necessarily the gerrymandering thing, which I do. Oh shit! I put it on inside out. I don't like this idea of California gerrymandering because California's always been used an apolitical system to create our maps.
Mm.
As much as I understand why they want to do it for the national reasons, I don't necessarily agree with it.
Unfortunately, though, you have to fight fire with fire.
Doesn't it have an expiration date as well? Like, it's only going to be implemented temporarily if it gets implemented at all.
The thing people don't understand about California and Texas is when Texas is doing it, Abbott said, "Okay, legislate, you vote." Gavin said, "Okay, California voters, what do you think?" Gavin is saying to the voters for them to decide not the actual legislation.
Chris, go ahead and finish your thought because I can see it in your face.
Oh no, I'm just I just waited.
Oh,
it's a matter of there's something to be said about when X amount of states are going to just do it because somebody said it. I find it concerning that so many Republican states are just going to not even question it because they fought it when, well, for instance, in the state I live in Missouri, there's 2 Democratic senators here, or representatives. Representatives, both of our senators are Republican. But our representatives, we have 2 that are straight up liberal Democrat. because they're in the major cities, St. Louis and Kansas City. They're trying to change that, and our governor was basically like, we'll do it. I don't know if I'm going to call a special session, but we'll do it. We'll discuss this in our state meetings. And it's like about 15 years ago or whatever, when longer than that, but when Clinton and Obama, a lot of them were in, the discussion of redistricting was on the table too, and the Republicans were like, "This is wrong. You can't change the map to favor your vote." And and now they switch. And I know this is not anything new. This is how politicians are. But
the thing is, hold on, gerrymandering isn't illegal on the federal level.
It is no, it isn't illegal. Except for, if I know, on a civil basis, yeah, you can't do it. You're correct. But the problem is, the courts have. Sorry, I wanted to get this across real quick. Yeah.
The courts have decided that they are not allowed to interpret whether the gerrymandering was done for political or racial reasons, which means that there's no oversight whatsoever, except for. What was it? The computer case back in 1970 something. I can't remember offhand. But
that's go ahead.
It was only the one time, and even then, the Supreme Court declined to hear the case.
Yeah, well, that's because what the Supreme Court has basically stated is that if the people are not happy about it, that they should be the ones to make it so. Well, then that means that the people should be the ones voting on it.
That's what Gavin Newsom is doing with California, unlike Texas.
And that's where I was kind of coming around to, is that if there were a law put in place, which will never happen because most states are not going to want the people to decide, because again, your biggest population centers, yes. Your biggest population centers are more than likely going to be your cities. Your cities tend to run liberal. Therefore, if the redistricting favors a conservative group, that the chances of it passing are slim. Now, that isn't always true, because like here in Missouri, we've gone Republican in a lot of presidential elections, and that is because our conservative base is quite large and votes more often than our liberal base does. So it isn't always a guarantee, and people like it, all voting, I think people need to be passionate about what they're voting for. Unfortunately, America has come to the point in most places where we vote just because it's a Tuesday. And it needs to go back to being like 4 times a year, and that's it. That way we can kind of centralize people's thoughts on what's going on. Because, I mean, I didn't know it, and it had nothing to do with me, but we just voted for a mayor in another city around Kansas City like 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday, and I was sitting there like, why are we just doing a random vote on a random Tuesday? Let's find 4 Tuesdays a year. And let's keep it to that. That way we're all. No,
I wouldn't even do it that way.
There. Mike, we ran into a similar. Hey, Chris, we ran into something similar when I was in Sumter, South Carolina. Okay, mm-hmm. Now we had the federal election and all that, but then we had the mayor, the county clerk, the whatever the fuck those guys are on there that you sometimes wonder about. And so what happened was our mayor process is that ranked voting. Is that ranked choice voting? So
I'm a big proponent of that.
I hate ranked choice.
You hate it? I think it's great.
I hate it. I fucking hate it.
I don't.
Why?
Okay, hold on a second. Can I finish my story before we?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, MB. Then I'm going to ask Elihu why. Even though I want to, I still want to go back to the gerrymandering thing because I do think I don't like the idea behind it.
Yeah, trust me. I figured gerrymandering brought up. What I'm saying is, the way what Chris is talking about, what I was saying was to kind of respond on Chris, is this was ranked choice filing. So, you know, I researched who the people were going to be mayor, and you know, this is a small area, so you're, you know, when you're looking at that, that's when you got to go to Facebook pages and things like that and see what they're about. And there was 5 people running, and there were 2 that were within my values. One of them, my wife voted for somebody else. My top guy got on the ranked choice filing for the final, and my wife's didn't. But my wife's one of my wife's other choices was the guy. Her second choice was the guy I picked for the first choice. And then but here was the thing. This is where the kicker part gets you. We didn't do another vote for 2 weeks, and a lot of people did not realize that they had to go back and vote for the mayor. See, I knew this, but there were a lot of people going, I just voted for who I wanted. Why do I got to go back? Because they didn't understand what the hell was going on. It hadn't been explained to them. So you can have, and I think this is where Elihu might go, you can have somebody who only really gets about 30% of the vote out of the ranked choice filing. But that's what I'm saying. I was just, you know, Chris is like, I didn't know when this was going on. And I agree with Chris when it comes to that, because I always say local elections are the most important and they're the most forgotten because half the time people don't even know when the fuck they are.
We had to focus people's attention. And I mean, again, when I say this, it kind of goes against my other thing that we need people to know how to vote. And that means make sure you do your research. I hate that. Honestly, I kind of wish the internet would get switched off, at least news sites and political sites. And a lot of this stuff would be turned off around elections because too many people rely on too many different places to get improper information. And I mean that on both sides. I'm not going to sit there and say it's one side or the other that does it. We get way too much bad information, and we need people to start remembering. You don't go in and just look at one, the party that's running, and 2, a name you know. That's literally how a lot of people go.
Well, that's what we were talking about when I asked Mike about, you know, why Dianne Feinstein, who was getting wheeled around, got voted in. And it was just like, I doubt anybody even knew how old she was.
I would agree with that. And when we were explaining it, she was basically running unopposed Democrat. You know, again, no party was going against her. It was only another Democrat.
Well, I think
so. People were voting by her.
Probably by her name.
Yeah. But when it comes to, I want to go back to the ranked choice voting real quick, Elihu, because Elihu, you realize when we play What the Dub on Chris's channel, that's ranked choice voting, right?
The way it's set up.
Not technically.
No, it is. Because you have a gold, silver, and a bronze you can award in order.
Yeah, first, second, third. Yes, first, second, third. My votes are not. Your votes are not. Your votes are not going to calculate for somebody else.
But what I mean is, you got 5 choices or 6 choices or whatnot.
Just go.
You get 3 votes, and you got your number 1 pick, your number 2 pick, and your number 3 pick. Your number 1 pick might not get first place in that round, but one of the people you voted for might.
Yeah, that's ranked choice voting.
That's literally ranked choice voting.
No, it's not, because ranked choice voting is. Let me explain this. Ranked choice voting. You have candidates who are running for an office or something, whatever, right? I vote for this person, first place, second place, first place, right? Okay, my first place did not even get qualified, so these votes get calculated toward another candidate, which means my votes are going towards somebody else. I did not vote for that person.
No.
That's not how it goes.
What they do is they give each vote a percentage worth, in a sense. Yes. And if you and 7 other people vote this one candidate number 1, that weighs so much. If you are the only one who does it, then it doesn't really, in the microcosm of things, doesn't count as much. So it's the same thing. It is a little more involved in voting than it is on what the dub, but what the dub is very much based in a ranked choice voting. Everybody gets a choice.
It literally is ranked choice voting.
Well, isn't that how that played out in Alaska? They went to ranked choice voting, and actually, as their one House of Representative voted in, I believe, a Democrat.
Yeah, well,
yes, but
we have it here too.
I don't know what the percentage of that vote was, because I think that was a special election. Or no, wait, the first one was a special election. Then the next one was the general. Anyway. But okay, gerrymandering. Okay, we can all be honest on two things here, right? If one side does it, the other side has either done it or is going to do it at some point. And number two, I think we can all agree, whether you're for or against Trump, he is a massive narcissist. Can we all agree on that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we can agree he's a narcissist. As long as we can all agree on that, we are good. Listen, you guys know I'm a Trump supporter, but even any reasonable person knows, especially when you're a sociopath like me, you're like, yes, he's a narcissist. That's fucking obvious. He's a narcissist who likes the good attention. That's why when people were asking about the South Park episode, and, like Charlie Kirk and JD Vance, they were just having fun with it. And of course, Trump's a little annoyed by it. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me, because Trump doesn't really care for that kind of stuff, that negative aspect. He wants to be like, then you have someone like Alec Baldwin. He's a different type of narcissist. But you get what I'm saying. They're both narcissists in a different way.
Okay, but what does that have to do with the gerrymandering thing?
Oh, nothing. Just something. I just wanted to say, can we agree on two things?
Okay.
Trump is a narcissist. But gerrymandering, yes.
But see, like personally, I don't like the idea, especially in California, because we have a bipartisan organization that does our congressional districts.
So I've heard.
I don't like the idea of purposefully bypassing that system in order to get more votes for the Democrats. I understand it's supposed to be a retaliatory act for what they're going to do in Texas, because what Texas is doing is, doing it this at this point
now
is just for political reasons. Which, granted, as me and Chris were pointing out earlier, is not illegal. Gerrymandering in and of itself on the federal level is not illegal.
One of the things, too, is when you look at some of the gerrymandering, and being a guy from Illinois, I'll just give you a perfect example. You look at, District 15. There's like 2 districts in this area, and you've got to drive through another district to get back to your district that you're already in, that you were in, or you have to go all the way around. This thing is cut right through, cut through 3 counties. It cut through 3 different counties or 4 different counties in certain areas. And I know specifically why those areas were targeted, because they were minority areas. So that's why that was all carved into place there. The only thing I've been able to find out about in the Constitution is, all I've seen it say is a census must be done every 10 years. There's nothing that says a census can't be done before 10 years.
The Constitution says every 10 years.
Well, hold on. He's technically right, and that is a very ironically liberal way of looking at the Constitution. Because remember, Jefferson even stated that you should look at the Constitution, because he was a proponent of not implied powers but set powers.
He was a Federalist, or was he?
Yes, in that regard at the time. Now the Federalist in general has shifted its ideology over the last 200 years, but
no, they went away pretty quick, and it was majority the Democrats
But it's the difference between implied powers and inferred powers. That's the thing.
Party. No, mainly it was the Democrat, Republican Democrat Party. There was what it was called or something like that. And then there was the
Whigs. There's
Whig.
been
the Whig Party, yeah. And the Whig
there's
Party
been
is becoming
Federalists.
the Republican Party are switching. But when it comes to gerrymandering and the census, the way I'm reading the Constitution is it says there has to be a census every 10 years, but it doesn't specify that's the only time we do a census.
I actually have a little breakdown of Texas. If you guys want to know who's affected.
The issue I have with it when you're coming across doing this census at this point is because of the time and effort it actually takes to perform a census accurately. Nowadays takes that almost full 10 years to accomplish. The whole point of doing it in such a quick manner is going to make sure that there's going to inevitably be a lot of errors and problems with it.
Why are we doing another census 5 years in? We just did one in 2020.
Yeah,
That's one of my
I didn't
questions.
say it was going to.
Now, here's
Because
the
the GOP does not want to have illegals counted in the census to have seats in the House and
thing.
the Congress.
Unfortunately, if you want to go back to the liberal view, that, as Mike said, of what MB said, the Constitution states that a census is a counting of every person in the United States, not every person who is legally in the United States. And
I'm going to give Chris credit here. It does not necessarily state that, and he's right.
So that there's the problem with it. It is our government's job, though, to have a system in place that how do I want to put this? That looks for the correct way to weed out the people that should not be voting. That would be criminals. That would be your illegal aliens. That would be people who, not registered at all, but still may try to because they're like, oh, I don't want this person in, so this time I'm going to go vote, even though I'm not. It's those people's job that are in place, that we vote in place and stuff, to come up with the laws or the standards to keep people from that voting, not for the census, which is just a thing of how many damn people are here. That again, too many things rely on and this is why I say it's very difficult when we're so far apart on both sides right now, when this pendulum swings so far left or right, that to do this. But we have to sit down and maybe rediscuss what does a constitution that was written 275 years ago really mean today? Does freedom to bear, or does the right to bear arms really mean we should have assault rifles in houses? And I'm not going to get in the argument, should we or shouldn't we? I'm stating
an assault rifle.
Okay, stop. Wait, let me finish.
You know the terminology you're referring to, though.
I'm not getting into the argument of what is and what is not a gun or what size gun it is. I'm not saying that. What I'm stating is we need, and unfortunately this is not going to happen, we need people to go through and say, this is what this means in today's terms. Because when that was written, you were talking about farmers who lived 15, 20, 30, 50 miles away from the next person who had to protect their land.
That's the
And
point of the Supreme Court.
I'm not saying, well, listen, and even then, the Supreme Court shouldn't have to be bogged down with things that should be discussed amicably between both sides. But again, both sides are way too far out right now to really discuss that in a way that's going to be productive.
Well, that's
the other thing about this is our system is supposed to be a working system where both sides or opposing sides with opposing views can sit down and discuss things in a manner that is beneficial for the government, for the country and the people. The only way you could do this is to take the chances out of it. And for instance, you have to implement more term limits across the board from your civil on up. You need to have a very defined amount of people in your state Congress and say, if I've got 25 people in my state Congress, 12 need to be liberal, 12 need to be conservative, and that last one is only voted on by whoever the governor is. And that's the only amount of lean one way or the other you go. If you go through and you basically say, listen, we're going to do a 50-50 split, and only in certain circumstances will it lean one way or the other, you need to force these politicians to realize you're not there to argue your points to win. You're there to argue your points with another side and state, how can we come to a mutual agreement that for the benefit of all people in the country work? Right now, what you have is I don't like this. I'm going to do this because I have more people. I have more people behind me, so I can do this right now. Because then the next thing you know, when it flips the other way around, you're going to have more people that way. They're going to come back and say, no, we're going to do this now. And all you're doing is you're spending a lot of people's money because taxes have to pay for this stuff. You're spending a lot of people's time, and nothing is getting, and this country is going slowly and slowly downward, not necessarily with the economy or anything like that necessarily. It's just going downward into a spiral of the government's way of working has got to work for the people, not for the politicians. And right now, that's all we're in this for, is the politicians.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I have the answer, but it cannot be something where you just give a majority one way or another. You need to make these people start to realize if you go there, you need to work together.
Well, we only
and nobody right now is.
Well,
and I don't know. I'm not gonna.
But we only have the Electoral College for one thing.
I don't mean it. I don't even mean it as Electoral College.
What I mean was, for example, I'd like the Electoral College to be in states for governor. If I personally could have it, I'd like that because, well, yeah, personally, because I think that would benefit a lot of states.
The Electoral College again is a very
antiquated system.
It
was designed.
It is.
No, it was
don't
designed.
Tell me no. Don't tell me no. Listen.
Wait.
Hold on. Hey, hold on.
Tell me
Abby,
no. On my opinion.
I want to let Chris finish his thought real quick.
You can have that opinion. And again, yeah, you can have it. But again, something that was decided 200 plus years ago because you basically would sit in so I live 50 miles away. John and this farm lives 25 miles away from the main town closest to us. We all come to town. We all talk to one person. That person is a representative for 200 people in a 100-mile area. And that person then took the votes and decided this is who we all majority vote for. And that's basically what the Electoral College started as. And then it's still used in the system where we can count every last vote within 24 hours for the most part, not always. Sometimes you need a recount, but it is an antiquated system. It is an antiquated system in the fact that we don't have that problem anymore. We don't need that. That's another thing that needs to be discussed.
This is
we have a way to communicate.
Hold on, Elihu. Hold on. I want to go back on this. Remember when you said that we all just select 4 Tuesdays to do your little voting thing?
Yeah.
I completely disagree with that because I think it should be 4 weeks. I don't like the fact that we have a single day for voting, especially when on that day I'm required to work. I can't take the day off.
Your job is required to give you time to vote.
Yes, they are required to, but they also don't have to pay me during that time. But I have a family.
Again, do they pay you when you go to sleep?
Hold on. I cannot afford to take that time off to vote sometimes. I do, and I end up working late that day or something along those lines.
Or I
mail my vote in early because I can do that in California.
Okay, so what's your problem?
I think hold on, let me explain. I do think that we should not have a single day of voting. We should have a weeks-long process.
I disagree.
That way people can walk.
I disagree. I disagree.
Question about that.
Hold on a second, Chris. Let me say something.
Can MB actually say something?
Yes. I'm probably going to agree with MB on this, so I'm going to listen to what he says, and I might have something to add on to it. Go ahead, MB.
Now I lost my train of thought. Where were we?
4 weeks of voting, a whole week to vote.
Okay, one of the things I would say is the day of voting needs to be a hot federal holiday, period, end of discussion. I don't agree with mail-in voting. I agree with absentee voting, but if I had my personal opinion, I think the majority of Americans should have to go to the ballot and vote.
That's absentee, the same thing as mail-in.
But here's the thing. I do think we need to stop having this 7 to 7 time. It's like, no, that motherfucker needs to be open from midnight to midnight, in my opinion. 24 hours. You are a night shift guy. You get off in the morning, you get to go vote. You're a mid shift guy, you got time to go vote. You're a day shift guy, you got time to go vote. It should be a full 24-hour federal holiday from 12:01 to 11:59.
Okay, so
since we're on the and Captain MKG actually agrees with you. I don't know if I necessarily need it to be a federal holiday, but how about this as a compromise?
Sure. Let's see.
Instead of like a full week, how about 3 days, 72 hours straight, with one of those days being a federal holiday?
I can work with that. If you said 3 days, I can work with that. 5 days or any more than 3 hours.
I go back.
It's a good compromise.
Okay, wait. Here's the thing. Wait. Here's my issue with that, though, and maybe I can explain it in a way that MB would maybe agree with. Then why don't you like mail-in voting? Why don't you like? I mean, you're okay with absentee, but you were in the military. I was in the military. We understand the importance of absentee voting, but mail-in voting is a 3-day voting. Let's just say that. I know it's not necessarily going to get there in 3 days, but it's supposed to. My point on that is if you like one and you can compromise one, then why not compromise the other? Second thing about a longer period of time, anything.
Hold on, let him finish his point.
You're using, again, antiquated thought process, at least what I believe is antiquated thought process, because what? Are we coming to the voting area in a covered wagon? Listen, I understand what you're saying. I understand. I have to do the same thing. But then again, I don't know what time of day you work. I go right after work or before work. I make sure that. And if I have to leave, I'm going to work the time over. That's how I've always done it.
Chris, you asked me why I'm compromising. Well, I'm compromising in a sense that, no, you're saying I'm compromising here. There is nothing. Yeah, compromising. Well, that's
what I'm saying. What my question was. I
know your question. I'm trying to get to it. No, I don't agree with mail-in voting. I don't particularly like it. I don't think it's as secure as absentee voting is. And I would prefer people actually go and do their voting at the polls. I don't care if it's antiquated. It's the way. It's sometimes the old ways are good ways to do it. And I am willing to say, okay, I'm saying from this time to this time, 24 hours. He's saying give it 3 days. I'm like, okay, I could be willing to work with that. Maybe we get it down to 48 hours. I don't know, but that's the whole point of talking about this.
Well, and that wasn't. Again, I didn't call what you said antiquated. I was calling what Mike said with the week is because what are we coming on horseback or in covered wagons to the polling place? Does it take us 3 days to get there? I don't see the point of that. The 3-day thing, could I go for it? I guess, but you are asking for just as much issue with that. I think by narrowing down that time, you're basically saying be on task, get there, be prepared to vote, and be done. If we draw out all votes 3 days, you're going to exponentially add a bunch of time on the end of how long it takes to figure out who actually is going to be the person we're voting in. And then your mail-in comment makes sense. I understand that is the big problem with mail-in voting is security. So therefore, there probably should be something where we either have to pick it up as a certified letter. You're allowed that one certified letter, and that the person who picks it up, you have to and again,
Shane,
going
across
back to the postal system, this is horrible because the postal system's so broken, it's not even funny. But the post office should then have a list of
Trump
people.
always vote by mail? Like,
Yes.
why is it safe for some people but not
No, hold
for
on.
other people?
I want to know. I want to ask MB something. You don't think the mail-in voter thing is secure, correct?
I don't think that at the current market's as secure.
Okay.
And I don't disagree
Hold
with
on.
that.
Hold on. Do you hold on? I just needed that question answered.
I don't feel it's
Do you
secure, and I don't feel it's secure.
okay? Do you?
Answer the question, yes or no. You already answered
Yeah,
that.
it was a yes or no question.
No question.
But the reason I'm asking that, MB, is because even the Heritage Foundation, a deeply conservative organization, went through 20 years of records, over 250 million votes, and only found 143 cases of mail-in voter fraud.
Okay, and that doesn't
That's
mean
about 3%.
That
I don't.
no, that is not just 3%. That is 0.00006% of
Okay.
voter fraud.
do that. I mean, 2% is all we want.
By that metric, mail-in voting is more secure than in-person voting.
No,
So if you're talking about a security issue,
I said.
I'm telling you right now, the facts don't back that up. That is an opinion.
Foundation said
It is.
it fits your narrative. Okay, fine.
I'm using a conservative source.
I know you are using a conservative point to fit your narrative, and it's correct. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. So the Heritage Foundation's found some things, and I'm like, okay, that's great. I still don't agree with this. I don't have to agree with something just because a conservative site says, "Oh, it's good." I just don't feel comfortable with. I don't feel comfortable with the mail-in because I don't feel it's as secure. I just think it needs to be more secure. And like the three of us are talking about, we're actually talking about it. We're not arguing about it. And
But
Wendy Lyon have to say something, but God, we haven't let her get a word in.
yeah, is there anything you want to add, Dandelion? Because you did make that comment.
It's
Sorry.
too late. I mean, if you can't comment at the time, there's not much point.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm
I'm not trying to be rude, Dandelion. You know that.
Gerrymandering, I agree there shouldn't be gerrymandering, but everybody's got to play a game by the same rules, right? So if some places are gerrymandering and others have been noble and said, no, we're not going to gerrymander, but all the non-noble places are saying, well, fuck that, we're going to gerrymander because we're more concerned with staying in power than in letting people choose their own representatives, then everybody should play by the same rules, right? And because the Republicans voted against not having gerrymandering, there's gerrymandering. So everybody should gerrymander then, because it makes it like...
I disagree. I think that you should stand by your morals when you're casting your vote, personally.
Yeah, but morals don't help when you're in a situation that's,
I get what you're saying.
Fire with fire.
I would rather stick to my morals when it comes to it.
But again, I believe that the way they're doing it in California is on a temporary basis, and only if other states go ahead and gerrymander more, right?
The simple fact is, when you talk about morality, okay, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people on this panel. I guarantee you, there's going to be areas of morality we are all going to disagree on.
No, absolutely. And I'm not saying it's like, but I'm saying saying that you're not going to gerrymander is taking a moral high ground.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're the people that you're, if other people in the same system are not taking that moral high ground, like, what does the moral high ground get you? It just gets you defeated over and over again, right? Like, that's just not going to.
There's a perfect example here when you want to put it this way. When it comes to gerrymandering, nobody has the high ground. They're all doing it for political reasons, and we all know it.
But that's what she's saying.
Doing it is the moral high ground.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. Hold on, Chris. I want to ask you this. How do you guys do your provinces? Do you redistrict?
I believe it's done by an independent organization. And it's based on when population increases in an area. Like, they don't just randomly.
Yeah, same here. That's why I'm also against it. That's why I like.
Except
California
it should be done
had
by an independent organization too. I hear.
Yeah, a nonpartisan
We don't do
organization.
that, which is hard to find in today's times too. So,
Absolutely. I mean, there's no
but,
perfect,
okay,
but
but
it's
because we only got a limited amount of time left. Hold on,
Yeah, it's not based on political affiliation. It's just based on population.
Exactly.
They don't do it based on anything political here.
And LDG might agree with me, and I want to get past the subject real quick. Now that we have the AI tools, it might be prudent to let AI make it because they can be nonpartisan. But that is
No, AI is not proving to be particularly nonpartisan.
Yeah, you teach it to be, but what I mean is, if you're going strictly by population, you have to understand. You have to say what limit its scope to just population. But I'm just saying that is a possibility. I'm not necessarily all for AI, but I just wanted to say that was an option. But
again,
I want to get to the topic. I want to quickly get to the topics that I actually posted that are in the title real quick. We still haven't had any releases of any more Epstein information.
Nope.
As far as I can tell, it is not moving forward whatsoever. Even if other victims have said that they are willing to open their sealed records. Apparently, they're not being listened to.
Yep.
But the other, on a related note, did you guys hear about the sting they did in Vegas this week?
I did not.
No, I mean, just for FYI, I had 2 outpatient surgeries this week, so I've been laid up quite a bit.
Okay. Basically, they did a P-file ring sting in Las Vegas this week.
What's a P-file?
They caught 8
person that likes kitties.
Yes.
A pedal person. Pedal.
And one of the people happened to be a Israeli intelligence director.
Okay, and that has to be what? If you're going somewhere with the Israeli Hamas thing going on,
no. What I'm getting on is the political nature of the whole thing, because one, his bail was set at only $10,000. He was released on bail almost immediately.
Is he a foreign national who's here in a diplomatic purpose?
He's a foreign national, but not on he did not have diplomatic immunity.
Okay, well, that part.
But he was released on bail and sent back to Israel almost immediately. He's not going to be prosecuted whatsoever. And I am very hesitant to understand why that was allowed in this country.
I don't know what's Vegas rule on bail and stuff.
From what I understand, it was the State Department that coordinated his bail.
Okay, so he's on bail, and he just.
But they've already dropped the charges because he's not going to come back to this country.
No. So we're told.
Okay. What do you want to do? Go tell Netanyahu to send him back?
How about we do that? Yeah. So we can actually prosecute him for the crimes that he committed in the United States.
And we're going to end up paying for all of that.
I
get where you're going with it. I get where you're going with this. Here's the thing. I live in a place, in a country, where so many things every day make me shake my head. And what am I going to do? Am I going to lose my shit over it? No. Because is it right? No. Should we bring him back? Yes. Are we going to? No. And that's the end of the story on that. Why?
I know, but one of the things I wanted to bring up because of the whole E-Man stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. And
I'm not saying we should do it, but the point is, Chris and I and all of us know it's not going to fucking happen because it's not politically convenient. It serves us no purpose.
I think what he said right there, the key term there is it's not politically convenient. Okay, so here's the thought process on this. And it doesn't make sense to a lot of people because at the same time that politics gets really messy, there's more going on behind it than you know. For all we know, this is done because in the current political climate, with what is going on in Israel, we don't want to make this the breaking of the camel's back, because it lets people with a thought one way or the other, either if you support Hamas or Palestine, however you want to put it, or if you support the Israeli side. We don't want to make this the thing where people point to it, and some people will still take it and run with it. My answer to this would be there's probably something deeper politically that we are not privy to, that we don't have any clue that this guy has been a part of or is a part of, that this is what was determined as the best case scenario to deal with it. You did this. We know you did this. We've got you dead to rights. We could prosecute you and put you in prison for years and years. Go away and don't come back. That's what was said, because they know that was the best thing to do at the moment. Is it the right thing to do? Exactly, politically. And that does not always mean it is the right thing. It just means, again, I don't know, because I'm not there. I'm not in those offices.
I want to point out, I do understand this whole thing, Chris. I do understand. I get that. But it's very hypocritical of the current administration to allow someone to come to this country, commit crimes, who's not a U.S. citizen, and then immediately allow them to get away with those crimes when their whole a large portion of their platform is getting criminals that come to this country and prosecuting them.
Yeah, you're playing on the moral aspect. We're talking about the political aspect of this.
That's because I can't get past that moral issue for me. To me, everyone should be held accountable on an individual basis. And I don't like the fact that one person.
I'm not saying you should.
Okay, hold on. Okay, here's an issue with this, with what you said. It's not just the people that are the people in charge of the government right now. It's not just Donald Trump. It's happened on both sides. Everybody has done this. Again, going back to what Dan Fluff said.
If someone, hold on, I just want to point out, if someone says from the Democratic side were to do the same thing, I'd point this shit out just as much.
Right now, okay, fine.
Take the,
but this is again,
Chris. Think about this. Remember when that WNBA player got picked up in Russia? Okay. Does anybody for a second not believe that was 100% political?
Oh, it was definitely political.
It was political. It was 100% political. That's why it was. That's why she got back, and other people that have been there longer. But she was the political point. She was the politics. She was the face of it. And it's like something had to be done. Why? Because America demanded it. Whether it was right or wrong, she was caught with illegal substance in the country of Russia. She was convicted by their courts, and we still had a country of people saying, when is the president going to get her back? What is he going to trade for her? This was all anybody did. So why? Because it was politically important to do that, to get her back. That's why Biden did it. And I knew he was going to do it at some point.
Well, but it's not just that. We can talk about when Osama bin Laden's family was taken out of the country. Many people wanted to say, listen, we have to check every one of these people and make sure they have nothing to do with what happened with 9/11. The government was just like, we can't have them here because it doesn't matter if they're innocent or guilty or have any tie to this. If they're here, they're in danger. They didn't question what was the right thing to do. Keep them here, not keep them here. Say, we already know they're safe. We know they have nothing to do with this. They didn't have time to think about that. They were just like, they have to get out because it's not safe for them here in this climate right now. Sometimes that moment is so quick that you have to pull the trigger right then. And again, it happens on both sides. Sometimes it's very questionable. Sometimes it is very obvious. It just depends. Just like I tell people all the time, I think it's crazy that people point to Afghanistan, the removal of troops of Afghanistan. So this is the most horrible way that we've ever removed troops. Did people forget about Vietnam? It's the same kind of thing that happened there. And it was because we were in a moment where things were happening that we didn't have a lot of time to think about it. Now, here's the thing. Most people may not know this and may argue with me on this.
Well, finish your point real quick. I'm going to have to end the stream.
Okay. Yeah, Trump had already put in place the plan to remove troops from Afghanistan. Biden and his people implemented it. So
They didn't
any
have
problem
the
that
same
happened
plan.
there, wait, stop. It was very much the same plan. Maybe
No,
a little
it wasn't the
differences.
same
Okay,
plan.
you can argue that, but you don't know that. That's the thing. I don't know it either.
I
Here's
do.
the thing. No, you don't. Again, you're not there still. I'm not there still. That's why I don't ever say I know for a fact. I've been in places where I used to know things. I don't get that information anymore.
All right, finish the thought because we got 10 minutes before the next stream.
All I'm saying is that this is not a one-off. It happens with multiple presidencies. It happens with both sides, and both sides either sometimes it's a better call than other times. And as many times as we go, what the F are they thinking? We go like, okay, and we don't think about it. So I don't really see much of a reason to bang my head against the wall on it. I don't agree with it, but there's obviously something bigger, I hope, behind it.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Hopefully we got this mostly out of our systems. And I will see you guys on the CNA stream in about less than 10 minutes.
I got your load, Jeff. Later, guys.
Later, guys.